Guys, I've had a few interesting questions from people saying to me, what happened with the $120 speeding ticket that was issued to Steve's van when we were coming back from Waitangi Day, you know, back when you could freely travel around and do things. You know, that ticket, myself and the wife, we made signed sworn affidavits, got it stamped by a barrister. They were submitted in evidence from the defence. We said all along we're very happy to accept the claim for value if they can just tell us who the hell was driving. The photo was taken from the back of the vehicle, so they couldn't. There were 2 adjournments, basically due to COVID and people not being able to be there on the certain dates. And finally, just after, it was actually just in mid-May, there was a hearing set. Now, I didn't go. I'd just gotten out of hospital like a week or so later. There was no way I was going to handle a 2-3 hour trip to go and stand in court, and it would have been a complete waste of time anyway. Because what ended up happening is that Steve went up, the night before Steve went up there, he was given a phone call from police intelligence, if there is such a thing, talking of oxymorons, you know, Jesus. Police intelligence, the same guy who ran into us up at Waitangi Day on 2019, gave Steve a call. Apparently he wanted to know if Steve was going to be protesting outside Tamariki and the police station and the courthouses. And Steve never said anything like that, so he sort of, well, why do you say that? And he goes, oh no, just wondering. And of course Steve just, well, I'm not bloody answering your questions, and if I'm up there we'll have lunch, sort of thing. And then he rang me up and he says, why the hell would he think we're going to do that for? And I said to him, well, Steve, I did actually tell the registry that if New Zealand police, well, I told the registry and New Zealand police that if they choose to waste our time and have us travel for 3 hours up to Whangarei to defend our innocence, when they can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt or satisfy our conditional acceptance that someone was driving, and we just need to know who, because both myself and my wife drive, we just can't remember which one of us was driving when we went past the camera. You know? So Steve wasn't even in the vehicle, so they're going after the wrong guy. So yeah, I said to Steve, I says, well, that might have something to do with the email I sent them, telling them that if they're going to waste our time going up there to defend our innocence, that we might as well make a day of it and go and protest Tamariki and police and the courthouse while we're there. Which Steve pissed himself laughing over. Made perfect sense as to why all of a sudden the police non-intelligence service officer decided to give us a call. So yeah, the next day Steve goes up. He didn't remember to ask for reasonable disbursements, which is under Rule 1.13, I believe it is, of the District Court rules. So yeah, he didn't ask for that, because I was of the point, well, if you're going to ask us to come up and say the case gets dismissed or dropped, we're out of fucking $60-80 petrol to drive up there and defend ourselves. You know, we didn't have to drive up for the first call. We just filed a written appearance, because that's all an appearance is, a piece of paper. So we filed that, went on to the defendant hearing, and because we drove up, yeah, it was just because of my bad health, things didn't go quite the way I wanted or what I had planned. So he forgot to ask for reasonable disbursements, and yeah, Steve was quickly ushered into the district courthouse, and first person seen for the day. They wanted him in and out of there as quick as possible. He didn't even get a chance to speak. It was just, yes, Your Honour, police are asking for dismissal. They dismissed it. So the whole point was, we're going to get your money out of you one way or another. We're going to waste your time and energy defending something that we know we can't. It's clear and utter prosecutorial misconduct. They had all of the evidence handed to them, and I'll incorporate it into the bid. And yet still they couldn't satisfy the burden of reasonable doubt, okay, or beyond a reasonable doubt that one of us was driving. I mean, Steve couldn't notify them that of who the actual driver was because Steve didn't know. Because they say, well, if you're not the driver, fill out a statutory declaration or a stat dec and say who was, and that way we've got your written fucking stat dec that we can go and hold against this other person and say, well, you're liable now. He's not going to make a statutory declaration he can't verify. So no, he can't do that. All he can do is have us help him because we were both driving the vehicle that day at various times. I don't go up there that often, so I don't know exactly where the camera was, or if I was driving or if I wasn't. It was a long frickin' day. So yeah, and besides, it's not up for us. Normally I'd say, oh, well, you tell us who the driver was, which is in a sense what we're doing, but they can only find one person liable for the offence. They can't hold two people liable for driving a vehicle at the same time. Doesn't quite work that way, does it, people? So instead of being told no drivers, they were given two drivers, and again, so I sort of proved the opposite of my $80 ticket, Saga. Instead of asking for them to prove one of the drivers or who the driver was, they were given two drivers to choose from, and they still couldn't do it. So it's a bit of fun, and it's always interesting to learn, because I mean, how tyrannical are they going to be? I've got a tickle at me. Yeah, my point is, how tyrannical are they going to behave over a $120 ticket? At least it was that time. And in a sense, if you don't count the time and the fun times we had, you know, dealing with it on the paper, it still worked out cheaper. It didn't cost him $120 to drive up there and back, but it would have if he'd paid the ticket. He had his day in court, and the cops instantly dismissed it, and the judge fucking hurried him out of that courtroom, apparently, from what Steve told me, you know. So I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall there, but that's for all those people that want to know what happened with the $120 speed camera ticket that we got in the van. When I say we, I mean we, me and the wife, both drove. If Steve had pointed to both of us as the drivers, they still would have been fucked on the stat dec if he'd done that. If he'd only named one of us, they would have gotten us. It's that simple. If you only name one person, that's fine. If you name several, it's still up to the cops to say which one was it, and it's still up to them to say absolutely nothing. Much love to you all. Catch up with you soon. Bye now.